Math 76, Lesson 50, Rounding Decimal Numbers. So, this is a pretty fun lesson, very, very related to our rounding of normal numbers, as long as we understand our place value. And then the key to decimal numbers and whole numbers is understanding our place value. So, if you don't understand place value, you're going to have a difficult time with this stuff. But it shouldn't be very difficult as soon as we understand our place value. So, maybe we'll do a quick recap on that as soon as I'm done writing all these numbers. We'll do as many examples as possible since this is a fairly simple concept, and then we'll also apply it to money. So this is really funny. I like applying this to money because how many of you have ever been at the gas station and you've seen when your parents are pumping gas, the prices for gas will say something like gas is $3.79 and 9/10 of a cent, and you wonder how in the world do you charge someone 9/10 of a penny? Well, that's a trick, because it's just a fancy way to get them to charge you $3.80 instead of $3.79. Anyways, I digress. I'm almost done writing my decimal numbers, and we will be ready to begin working. There we go. Okay, I've gotten all my numbers down. Let's start rounding. So with these top numbers, these top three numbers, we're going to round to the nearest tenth. So these will be to the 10th place, and then these bottom numbers, we're going to round to the nearest whole number. Right? So, and then this will show us decimal numbers. So, when we look at these top numbers, we have to find the 10th place. And this first one, if you remember, the 10th place is right here at the 1. So, if I need to round to that decimal place, I'm going to look at the number immediately to the right. If it is 4 or below, my number will stay the same. If it is 5 or above, my number will rise. We see that 2 is 4 or below, so my answer is going to be 0.1 or 1/10. And I've just rounded to a decimal place. Now let's go to the next one. I'm still rounding to the 10th place, so I have to identify where the 10th place is. I'll go ahead and underline that. That's the 3. I look at the number immediately to the right. I see it is 4 or below, so my 3 will stay the same and everything else will get cut off. And so my answer here is going to be 12 and 3/10. And notice I'm not adding any zeros from these numbers that disappeared. I'm just going to chop it off right there at the 10th place. All right, this last one, let's see here. We look at the 3 again. That's in the 10th place. I look at the number immediately to the right. Is it 5 or above or 4 or below? It's 5 or above, which means this 3 is turning into a 4. So my answer is going to be 2 and 4/10, or 2.4. So remember, 5 or above, the number goes up. 4 or below, number stays the same. So we've successfully rounded to the 10th place in all 3 of these numbers. That was fairly quick, fairly simple. Now let's talk about this. How do we round to the nearest whole number? Starting with this one. So if we're rounding to the nearest whole number, that means the ones place, right? So that's what they mean whenever they say round to the nearest whole number. They're talking about round to the ones place. So we look at the ones place. We've got our number 6. We look at the number immediately to the right. 7 is 5 or above, so that means 6 is going up. So my answer is just going to be 17. 6 rounds up to 7, give me an answer of 17, and I do not put any decimals because I'm rounding to whole numbers, not to decimals. Now let's look at this one. I've got 4.875. I look at the 4. That's my ones place. I look at the number immediately to the right. It's 5 or above, so this is going to become 5. Next, I've got 73.29. My ones place is in the 3. I look at the number immediately to the right. It is 4 below, so 73 stays the same, and my answer is 73. Now that's all fun and good. It's pretty simple. Now, most people don't tend to have trouble with this. What tends to drive people to confusion is the following problems, where they say, round to the nearest cent. All right. So then they'll give you amounts like, well, actually, let's write these in black. They'll give you amounts like this. $6.66 and 66. Why would they choose that number? Okay, anyways, don't panic. It's all right. It's just a number. Or they'll give you something like $0. Whoops, I forgot to put my dollar sign there. $0 and 46 cents, and then 2 and 5. Right. So what confuses people is cents only go to the hundredths place. Why are there 4 digits for cents. Well, that's the problem, and that's where the whole 9/10 of a cent comes in at the gas station. So when you're pumping gas and your parents are paying, well, this is California, so let's say it's a bad year and your parents are paying $4.29 and 9/10 of a cent, right? This is what the sign says, yeah? What they actually mean is $4.29.9, right? So we'll figure out what this actually means in a second. So when they say round to the nearest cent, the place value we're going to is the 1 penny value, or the 100th place value, and that's going to be the place value every time when they say cent. So if I'm rounding to the nearest cent, I look at the 6, I look at the number to the right, it is a 6, so that's 5 or above, which means this 6 is becoming a 7. So my answer is going to be $6.67. And that's how I round to the nearest cent. And then over here, I've got 46 cents, 0.25. This is the penny or the cents place. So I round to that number. I look to the right. It's a 2, so it's going to stay down. So my answer is just going to be 46 cents. Now let's apply this to where your parents pump gas. We just talked about how 4.29 and 9/10 of a cent is actually 4.299. So if we're going to round this to the nearest cent, then we look at this 9, right? And then we're going to look at the number immediately to the right. It is a 9. So what that does is it makes this 9 a 10, right? But I can't have a 10 in that place. So I put a 0 and then I add the 1 over there, so then it becomes $4.30. So the question is, why do gas stations spend money on the extra slot in their sign to put the 9/10? I'm not sure. It probably makes them money somehow. Anyways, that's how we round to the nearest cent. This is how we round to the nearest decimal or nearest whole number. And that's all there is for this lesson. If you have any questions, let me know on the school website, and I will see you in class.